So how was living in Japan's countryside so different from the cities such as Tokyo? And is it something that you would consider? Because Japan wants foreigners to move to their small towns. So my experience was I moved to a little town in Yamanashi, Japan for school, so small that multiple Japanese students told me they thought they had arrived at the wrong train station when they came for their first semester. And the number one difference I noticed there was absolutely the extremely strong sense of community that I was lucky enough to feel a part of there. But I will be honest, in the beginning it did feel much more isolating than Tokyo. People did seem shy and almost wary of why I was around all the time suddenly. And then after a couple of weeks, almost like a switch was flipped, people seemed to generally decide that I was alright, and then it was the most welcoming community of people, which is so important when you move alone to a new country where you don't quite understand the language or the culture. It began one day with just the neighborhood kids kicking the soccer ball to me when I walked to and from class, and then with time I was invited to neighborhood family barbecues. I made friends with the local firefighters and I got to ride on their fire truck to a couple parties and stuff, like I got asked to join the town's historical festival and learn the dance to be in the parade. A million cool things that made me love living in Japan. Next big difference sounds like a negative but ended up being a positive. Not so many people in the countryside speak English, especially compared to Tokyo. So although this was obviously not without its difficulties, it really did force me to buckle down and learn Japanese, which I did. And next is also cool because there's so much space in the countryside. A lot of students shared rental houses together, so house parties were actually pretty common, which is something that a lot of Japanese students don't experience in the city. Next is surely the same dynamic of any country in the world, but the countryside was exponentially cheaper than Tokyo. I had a sizable loft apartment there for about $500 a month, where my much smaller apartment in Osaka, the city, was about $200 more. One strange dynamic, however, and I've heard this from multiple friends that lived in the Japanese countryside before, is that I guess there's a lot of like gossiping and spreading of rumors. Like when I had a breakup with a girl from school, it seemed like a couple days later everybody knew about it and was asking me about it. And that really didn't bother me at all. But my friends that grew up in this town said that they got really tired of kind of everyone being in their business. Finally, the negative elements of the countryside of Japan is simply just convenience. Often buying clothing my size or more specific electronics, I would have to take the hour-and-a-half train ride to Tokyo. Overall, my time there was unforgettable and probably one of the main reasons I decided to stay in Japan. Don't get me wrong, Tokyo and especially Osaka were extremely welcoming too, but just not to this extent. So let me know if you would ever consider the countryside of Japan over Tokyo.